Thank you. Mashujaa Mau Mau members, wana member wa Mau Mau War Veterans Association. Muriega. Aria makuhota kurugama matikirugame. Ni tuigue karwimbo karia kanyu. Twathiaga tukenete tugacu rugendo rwitu rwari rwe tugithie na tugicoka. Ni wega muno ni ngatho. Kwanza muniruhusu nishukuru sana tume ya Kenya Human Rights Commission kwa sababu ya idea yao ya kusupport Mau Mau Foundation. Brilliant idea, mchukue pongezi sana. And I have no doubts it will succeed because I know the thoroughness with which you do your work. Ya pili, muniruhusu nitoe shukrani, acknowledgements. This is with regard to the Mau Mau case. Kwanza, to Kenya Human Rights Commission. Without their participation, I have no doubts we may not have succeeded. Mtu wa pili ni Professor Makao Mutua, who was the chair of Kenya Human Rights Commission. After talking with Martin Day, tukakubaliana hii kesi tutawakilisha. Lakini mimi nikaona inahitaji utafiti wa kiini wa ndani. And I requested Professor Makao Mutua to involve the Kenya Human Rights Commission, and he agreed. And I would like to acknowledge and kutoa shukrani kwake. Pia Muthoni Wanyeki, George Morara, David Alaba, Bete Murunge, Wanjiro Meano, who had just spoken, Gitobu Manyora, my colleague, Kivuda Keboana, the former governor wa Makwiny, na CJ Emeritus Willie Mutunga. Without the individual and collective input of all these people, the Mau Mau case in London may not have succeeded in the manner that they did. And on behalf of the members of the Mau Mau War Veterans Association, we thank each one of you, including the many Kenyans, young people who did the research, which was a lot of hard work. I was pleasantly surprised, mimi mwenyewe, during the preparation for this case, to discover that although 80% of the Mau Mau were from the Kikuyu, Embu, and Meru communities, each community in Kenya had 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 members of Mau Mau. And I was very pleasantly surprised. So this was a national movement. It was not just about the Kikuyus. Going forward, let me make the following few points. I know I can see that Mheshimiwa, the Prime Minister, has gone out, but I want to give special thanks to him on behalf of the Mau Mau, my clients, because he accorded the case and the members of the Mau Mau War Veterans Association a lot of assistance in our case at that time. And I wanted to mention to him that going forward, his assistance is still needed. When we were discussing the settlement out of court in London, and Mzee Gitu Kahengeri may remember this, we made a point to the British government that apart from the monetary compensation, tuliwasilisha kesi hii for the Mau Mau to be recognized, for them to get back their dignity and their humanity. They were not terrorists. They were freedom fighters. And we wanted that acknowledged and accepted. That is why we are demanding an apology. And even today, you will remember the statement that was read on behalf of the British government on the floor of the House of Commons, stated in one paragraph that they wanted to have this issue of the atrocities of the behind Kenya and behind Britain, so that we can have cordial relations. And we agreed. But we told them it is not enough to compensate the 5,222 people that compensated, because that left out many individuals who were detained, who were killed. Si waliwacha watu wao na familia zao. We would like them recognized. And going forward, to my mind, and this is what I'm going to repeat to the Prime Minister, we would like that effort to be bipartisan. We would like the official opposition led by Mheshimiwa Prime Minister and the government of His Excellency President William RUTO to take up this issue in a bipartisan manner. We are assisting veterans. Any nation that does not recognize and respect their heroes cannot nurture heroes tomorrow. If you want to nurture your heroes, you must accept, you must recognize, and you must honor those who have sacrificed for the nation. So we would like a bipartisan report, a bipartisan approach in resolving this issue. Mheshimiwa Prime Minister Raila ODINGA, I was telling members here and the participants that it is important to acknowledge, which we do, the valuable, invaluable assistance which you accorded to the Mau Mau War Veterans Association when you are in government, led by the late Mheshimiwa Muite. And I was saying we will continue to need your assistance. Going forward, the new initiative has to be government to government, because the Mau Mau cannot protocol-wise engage the British government. We had filed a case against Britain as Mau Mau. Now going forward, it would have to be government to government, and my own view is that we should give serious consideration to adopting a bipartisan approach, the official opposition which you lead, Prime Minister, and the government of President, His Excellency President William RUTO. The case was filed by Mau Mau. This needs to be government to government. And the first step is to have an exhaustive, accurate list of who was who in Mau Mau, because we don't want anybody to be left out. Sidio? Kuna wengi ambao walikuwa detention. Sidio? Kuna wengi ambao waliwawa. There are many others, including the many women who are risking their lives cooking for the Mau Mau. Everybody who participated in one way or the other should be in a list. So a list, accurate and exhaustive, that does not leave anybody behind. I was mentioning, Prime Minister, how surprised I was when we were doing the preparation for the case to discover that although maybe 80–90% of the Mau Mau were from Kikuyu, Embu, and Meru communities, indeed, every community in this country had 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 members in Mau Mau. Mau Mau was a national movement. and we would like them included. When we get a report like that, a wall of honor needs to be built so that their names are inscribed on that wall. In my view, that is even more important than the compensation. Obviously, some compensation would have to be granted to them, and I was very pleased recently to read in the media that the current High Commissioner, British High Commissioner to Kenya, is open, the government of Britain is open to discussions. Prime Minister, let us take advantage of that statement. Let us take advantage of the statement that Britain read on the House of Commons. Let the Kenya government engage the British government. And finally, the issue of land. Many people lost their land, and Mau Mau have lost land twice. Originally, during the days of King George V, before independence, before the Mau Mau War, walinyang'anywa mashamba, si ndio? Na wakanyang'anywa tena wale ambao walipelekwa kizuizini, mashamba yao ikapatiwa the sons of the chiefs. Kana tiguo kuli kamutalendo uhoro wa mawali. So we would like them to arrive at some conclusion, and there is a solution, because there are still very big mashamba ni mengi hapa. Serikali inaweza kununua wakisaidiana na serikali ya Uingereza. Kila mtu Mau Mau au wale ambao wametuaga watoto wao, their descendants, wapatiwe, wakipatiwa eka 10, 20 hivi, si watatosheka, because that is what they were fighting for. So Prime Minister, we plead with you to take up this issue, and I can tell you that everywhere in central Kenya where I go, or people from different areas of Mount Kenya Central, they remember with a lot of appreciation the assistance you gave back in 2003 and 2004 during the time that we are fighting for that case. So we will continue to work together. Hii safari hatujamaliza na tutaendelea kumaliza mpaka kila mtu ambaye alihusika na hii vita ya Mau Mau